Okay, so good afternoon all. We are in, I think, friend function and inline, rather functions in C++. So I think, covered friend function related all things, right? Friend function, what is actually friend function, how it calls, and related to common friend in two classes, and class as a friend, wherein all functions are treated to be as friend of another class. So I think we covered all those things in last lecture, right? So, uh, so about inline function, I think we've gone through example of macros. So inline functions are rather it is declared by using inline keyword. So what actually it does is whatever you are going to write into that function is directly copied on that location where actually function call is present, right? So it is done on compile time. Uh, why they are using this method? It actually execute a program faster, right? Why? Since this inline function is used, where actually execution time is low than switching time. Obviously, we discuss about function switching and all. We need to switch to function. We need to store all the data on stack. Then we need to load addresses. Then we need to execute that function. Again, we need to identify return address. We need to pass results. So all those are switching functionalities of rather switching processes of a function. When those switching processes are less than execution, or rather execution time is less than no switching processes, at that time you can use inline functions. So functions are treated to be like macros in case of C, right? So inline functions just replaces that call. Whenever you call a inline function, it is compiler directly replace that function by its code, which is present inside that function, right? So that is something called inline function. When it is not used, right, every time a compiler will not replace all those functionalities present, rather processes or code present in inline function. Rather, they avoid in some time when function contain loop kind of thing, even there is recursion or there is switching statement inside function. At that time, uh, the function or inline function never is not going to replace the things, right? So this is basically avoided in case of inline function. Then when inline function is called, the compiler actually replaces at runtime, and rather when function is called, it is calling statement is replaced at runtime, whereas in inline function, compiler generate a function code in place to avoid a function call. So in case of inline function call is avoided. Instead of that, code is replaced, right? Just like macro. So what are all advantages of inline function? So inline function is used to speed up the program just by avoiding this override of function call, just to go there and execute and then return back. So this is something wherein is treated to be as override of function call. In that case, it is avoided. So it is basically speed of the processes. Again, return call and all are saved in this case. So this is simply a function. This is simply a function wherein we'll see a code. Actually, it's so simple. So not here we are not going to execute this simple thing. Here it is. Am I audible? No? Is my voice clear? Is my voice
Yes, sir.
clear?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Uh, so this is simple function wherein this function is actually using for find out maximum. So two parameters are passed to this function and it will return something to calling function. So function is going to call this max function. Here in this, no, whatever function you want to made it as inline, just use no keyword inline in front of that function. Then this function call max 10 comma 20 is a function call. Sorry, max 10 comma 20 is function call. So this function call directly replaced with this code, right? So this is, treated, this function is treated like macro. So this is use of, you can say, inline function, right? And this is about inline function we have gone through in assignment also. Now, next is default argument, right? So in default argument, wherein we actually provide a default values at the time of declaration. So in default argument, we provide a value inside function, and if you while calling, if you are not assigning value to those parameter, then by default it will take the default argument which is mentioned in function declaration, right? So a default argument is a value provided in a function declaration that is automatically assigned by the compiler if the caller of the function doesn't provide a value for the argument with a default value. The default argument are overwritten when calling function provides a value for them. Default argument should be in right to left order. Okay, let it be. Let's show you example. Okay. Okay. So is it visible to you? No? Is it visible to you? Put it in chat. Is it visible? Okay. So what actually the default argument is, the argument which is there is this, wherein you are passing the argument to this function called sum, right? So sum requires three parameters, right? When you are calling this function, no, and if you are not providing the function, which rather parameters which are there, total 3 parameters are there, it will give you error. Just check the things. Yes. So, too few arguments are there, right? And you need to provide total 3 argument, right? So, what actually here is, you also can have default argument. Default argument means you can initialize those values basically on default things, right? Just I can assign a value 0 to this. So by default, if we are not providing a value for z here, by default, this argument is passed as with this, and it will take 0 as z's value, right? So, okay. Yes, addition is 30. So what considerations are there is, see, whatever value of x which is taken, y which is taken here, and then z, right? So in case of there's no default argument, you need to pass default value. So you cannot directly, the order for giving default argument is from this side, right? From z side, or from right side to left. You also can assign default value to y as well, and you can pass only to this, right? Addition is 10, but you cannot write this just like this cannot be treated as default argument. You need to pass, sorry, you need to pass from right to left order, right? So you cannot pass just like this. You can also have all the parameters, all the variables which are passing to functions, you can provide it as a default. So this is about default arguments. Have you understand this thing, default argument? It's quite easy. Now next is about constant functions which are not there in inside your syllabus. Still it is important, so I'm going to cover it. There, what is this? If xyz is provided as 0, there will be no use of lower 10. No, I'm not using here. One more thing. Even though those are default argument, yes, roll number 16, Shreya, I got your query. Even if by default, these things are provided, by default arguments are provided. You also can pass values, right? 4, 5, and 8, right? In that case, those parameters are overwritten on this, right? So default argument are overwritten. Right, so at 9 and 17. Clear? Even though Okay, so those are default. If not provided, then it is passed as default. Otherwise, it just overwrite the things, right? Okay. Next is constant member function. A constant member functions are functions wherein rather member functions, those functions which are made constant, which actually is not going to change inside objects functionality, right? So if it will actually guarantee that those member function would not modify the state of object, right? So for that we made the functions which actually is just used to read or just used to inspect, or the functions which are not modifying the state of objects are those functions should be made as constant, right? So how actually this function of rather keyword works, you need to have a function called just like declaration, wherein name of type of function, then return type of function, then function name, then rounded bracket, then space, and then you need to mention a constant keyword. So this is simply a syntax for this, right? So a member function of class can be made as constant by just appending the constant at the end of the functions prototype, right? So you cannot modify the state of object just by invoking those constant functions. So those functions which are used to just read or inspect should be made as constant, right? So okay, so I'm going to take a class wherein one variable which is there. So data member. So what we need to check is uh, how to access those constant member function, and whether we can modify the state of object or the data members which are present inside that object. Can we modify those things or not? That we need to check. So what I'm going to do here is I'm having a class A within only one variable which is there. Just I'm going to use a function called set, and that function is going to set value for this, right? So whatever is parameter of that set function will directly assign to the data member of that class, right? And one more function which is there is for display, right? So okay, so this is simply object, and then on object one I'm going to call this function set, and I'm going to set value 5 for that variable, and need to display. Okay, so here no, in this function, the those functions which are not going to modify the state of object. Now object is obj1. So what is there in obj1? Inside obj1 we have one data member called a. Right? So if this data member is going to modify, then that function we not to set as constant, right? So which function is actually modifying the state of object? This function, set function, is going to modify the state of object. So don't mention this function as constant. Rather, the function which is going to use for reading or for other functions. So this function is used to display the value of E. So such functions wherein this function cannot use to modify the state of objects. Such functions are made as constant functions, right? So what is syntax for this is, you need to just mention this constant function in front of prototype of that function, right? So by using this, no, you cannot modify the value, right? Okay, see here, this a is read only inside this, right? So you cannot modify inside constant function, right? Yes, it's working and displaying. So such functions, inspector functions, can can be used for modification. Okay, again, can we have those functions which are there, which are used to modify the state of object, should be written like constant? ऐसा लिख सकते हैं क्या हम? Obviously we can have this as there, like we can the functions which are used to modify the state of object, हम उसको constant कर सकते क्या? Obviously कर सकते हैं. Yes, which is A is read only here. So what we need to do for this is, we need to mention another keyword called mutable. So this is mutable inside this. So constant function can modify this, but we cannot use such kind of things, right? Mutable and constant at same time we cannot use. Where either you made it as constant, otherwise keep it as it is, right? If you, but you can have write constant for functions which are used to modify the state of object, but you need to write a mutable keyword for those data members which you want to modify inside that function, right? Yes, it's working. Yes, so you can modify by using this keyword, right? So such functions are also treated to be as constant functions, right? The next is constant objects, wherein you can also have, now I'm not going, okay, did not get. हे समजलं नाही का म्युटेबल? नाही समजलं का? अरे कॉन्स्टंट म्हणजे काय तर, या कॉन्स्टंट फंक्शन मध्ये आपण ऑब्जेक्टची जी स्टेट आहे ती चेंज नाही करू शकत ना. सो या केस मध्ये आपण कॉन्स्टंट म्हणतो. मग जे फंक्शन्स कॉन्स्टंटची, रादर ऑब्जेक्टची स्टेट चेंज करतात, त्यांना कॉन्स्टंट म्हणू शकतो का? येस, आपण म्हणू शकतो, त्यांनाही कॉन्स्टंट म्हणू शकतो, की दोज फंक्शन्स विच आर ऍक्च्युअली चेंजिंग दी ऑब्जेक्ट स्टेट those functions are also treated to be as constant. मग जर हे कॉन्स्टंट म्हटलं तर मग आपण त्याची स्टेट चेंज करू शकतो का? नाही करू शकत. मग त्या केसमध्ये जर मला त्या ऑब्जेक्टची स्टेट चेंज करायची असेल तर काय करायची? तर जे जे डेटा मेंबर तुम्हाला चेंज करायचे आहेत दोज डेटा मेंबर शुड बी रिटर्न ॲज म्युटेबल. ते तुम्हाला म्युटेबल करावे लागतील की येस ते म्युटेबल आहेत, सो यू कॅन चेंज इन कॉन्स्टंट फंक्शन ॲज वेल, राईट. सो कॉन्स्टंट लिहिलंय म्हणजे तुम्ही स्टेट चेंज करू शकत नाही. स्टील यू वॉन्ट टू चेंज अ स्टेट ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट ऑर यू वॉन्ट टू चेंज सम डेटा मेंबर्स फ्रॉम युअर क्लास. सो त्या केसमध्ये काय करायचं? तर यू नीड टू राईट म्युटेबल इन फ्रंट ऑफ दोज व्हेरिएबल दॅट यू वॉन्ट टू चेंज इन टू कॉन्स्टंट फंक्शन, राईट. सो बाय युझिंग दिस, आता हे असं नाही वापरायचं जनरली, म्युटेबल आणि कॉन्स्टंट ॲट अ टाइम नाही वापरायचं. एक तर तुम्ही कॉन्स्टंट करा किंवा मग त्याला नॉन कॉन्स्टंट राहू द्या, देन ऑब्जेक्ट विल डेफिनेटली चेंज दी थिंग्स विच आर देअर इनसाइड दॅट फंक्शन. अदरवाईज नाही. पण काही फंक्शन्स असे असतात ज्याच्यात तुम्हाला काहीच पार्ट चेंज करावा लागतो, रादर एडिट चेंज करावा लागतो. इन दॅट केस यू मेड दॅट फंक्शन ॲज कॉन्स्टंट आणि जितके काही मे बी आता मी दुसरं व्हेरिएबल आहे इथं बी म्हटलं जे मला चेंज नाही करायचं आहे तर ते मी ॲज इट इज ठेवू शकतो. इथं दुसरं बी म्हटलं अँड ए इज म्युटेबल बट बी इज immutable, or you cannot change the value of b either. You can use only for a, right? असं करू शकतो. So that's the use of mutable. I think हीच शंका होती का तुमची? ओके, क्लिअर झालं का? Okay, so just just like आपण म्हटलं होतं मगाशी की functions are constant, even set of functions are constant, inspector functions are, we can make it as constant. Just like those you can use constant object as well, right? By using constant object you can access non-constant function as well as constant function, right? तुम्ही दोन्ही कॉन्स्टंट ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट केला तर त्या केसमध्ये दोन्ही फंक्शन कॉल करू शकता, राईट. कन्स्ट्रक्टर अँड डिस्ट्रक्टर कॅन मॉडिफाय दी डेटा मेंबर ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट बट other methods of class can't, right? And only constant member function can be called by constant object. नाही नाही, हे थोडंसं स्टेटमेंट प्रॉब्लेमॅटिक आहे. मी सांगतो तुम्हाला. पॉसिबली इथं ना ओनली कॉन्स्टंट मेंबर फंक्शन असं नाही आहे, नॉन कॉन्स्टंट सुद्धा कॉन्स्टंटच्या ऑब्जेक्टनी ॲक्सेस करता येतात, राईट. इथं थोडंसं ॲडिशन राहिली आहे. Okay, let it be. So by using this, this is the style of creating a constant object, right? By using this, हा program आहे, slide हे झाल्यावर check करा तुम्ही, right? So this is the way you can have a constant object as well. So हा program तुम्ही as a homework try करा. So this is about, constant, default and this thing. Okay, so okay, so we cover this inline functions constant. Now we need to move to, I think, okay. It's constructors. So inside your syllabus, what is added here is parameterized constructor. I think we've gone through this terminology, parameterized constructors. Now, what constructor? Anyone? Unmute yourself and tell me what is constructor. Anyone? Please unmute yourself and tell me.
Is a function which gives value to the
Which gives?
To the data member.
Okay, which used to initialize value of object or which actually pass the value to data member. Yes, it is correct. The constructor's name, or rather name of the constructor, is same as that of your class name, right? So whatever your class name is there, constructor's name is written same as that of name of your class, right? So C++, actually this parameterized constructor is comes under, type of constructor, wherein we need to check other things also related to type of constructor. So even though you have parameterized constructor inside your syllabus, we need to check those three things there inside, right? So C++ allows object to initialize themselves when they are created. So when we create object, constructor is called and it initialize whatever data members are there inside that object, right? So it is simply, you call it as automatic initialization. That means if you are not going to write a constructor for class, compiler by default assign a constructor to that class, right? So and this is simply called, default constructor in case of this. Now, there is some problems available with this, no, related to default constructor and all. I'm actually not going to mention this, but still it is somewhat confusing in C++ and even in Java. Some of the documents which are present related to C++ will provide that, will give the information like, when you are not going to provide a constructor to your class, compiler will by default provide a constructor for that class, and that constructor is referred as default constructor. Some of the documentations are mentioned, but still I'm going with book only. So there are only three type of constructor which are called default constructor, parameterized constructor, and copy constructor, wherein default constructor means the constructor which don't have parameter is called default constructor. If I want to write a constructor for this class, this is a name of constructor is same as that of, name of class, right? So if the constructor is without parameter, in that case this is treated to be as default constructor in case of C++. In case of C++, keep those words in mind, right? So you can have a default value for default constructor. Now what all data members are there? There is a data member called A, right? So I can assign a value 0 for that. This is simply called, default value. So this is called a default constructor. Now a parameterized constructor, wherein we have whatever data members are there inside that object, we pass those data members using a constructor, and we can assign a value to those constructors. So this is simply called a parameterized constructor. Either you can pass one parameter or number of parameter which are there inside no object, right? So this is simply called a parameterized constructor. With parameter it is called parameterized constructor. Without parameter it is called a default constructor in case of C++, right? So constructor without any argument or with default value for every argument is said to be a default constructor. Then parameterized constructor is a special type of constructor where an object is created and further parameters are passed to those object. Then one more thing which is written over here is member initializer list. Now initializer list is, by using this initializer list, we can initialize a data member of class. Generally, those are used for constant variables, but you can use for other variables as well, right? So initializer list is used to initialize data member. So it is a list provided inside class with a constructor, right? Now, I'll show you program for initializer list. It's a simple member list. So this is, a program wherein we are actually assigning, this is default constructor, and in this, if I want to assign a default value to the data members, then we can assign default value to this. Even we have a parameterized constructor, we can assign the value by using this in a parameter, right? So we can pass the values as a parameter to constructor and assign those to data members as well. So this is one style of initializing a variable. Another one is member list, wherein in member list you can write, just check the syntax wherein, this constructor is initializing inside curly braces, wherein in member list, sorry, in member list, you have to write with colon, you have to provide a member list like, this. So how to write this, if I want to use initialization list, then constructor this, then by semicolon, I'm going to use the variable which is a here, and this is simply called member initialization, right, by using a list. So by using this member, we can initialize a member, right? For this also, we can have, for parameterized constructor also, we can have member initializer list. So by using semicolon, the values which are there as a parameter are passed to this and assigned to the variables which are there inside the class, right, or data members which are there inside class. So marks is a data member which is inside class, inside object. Whatever comes with this object which is M, we can assign here and to this data member. So by this way, or by initialization list, we can also assign the values which are present with constructor to the data members which are present inside object. So this is what a member initialization list is. Understood? Have you got the things? Have you got the things? Okay. Okay. Now, I think we covered about default constructor and then parameterized constructor. We also initialize members by using member initializer list in those two styles. Now, third type for this is copy constructor, which is in case of this copy constructor is important concept. Now, what is copy constructor? Again, it is a type of constructor, obviously. It is a special member function of class which has same name as that of class and which gets implicitly called in three conditions. So keep in mind that in primary condition, copy constructor is implicitly called. When it is called, when we pass an object to function, right? When we return an object from function and when we directly assign object, or you can say already created object to newly created object, in that case copy constructor get implicit call, or the function which is called as copy constructor of that class. So when it is called, it's related to object. Keep in mind that it's related to object. When you pass object to function, or when you are taking, or when you are returning object from function, or you are directly assigning one object to another just by assignment operator, in that case copy constructor is called and it is implicitly called, right? So what actually the job of copy constructor is to, it simply is used to create a new object from existing one. So whatever there is in existence, it will exactly create a replica of it, right? So it will create a new object which is replica of existing one, right? So what actually is there in copy constructor? No, when class do not contain a copy constructor, at that time compiler provide one copy constructor by default, and that is known as default copy constructor. That means if you are going to assign one object to another and you are not providing a copy constructor, in that case compiler automatically provide a copy constructor to program, and that is referred as default copy constructor, right? So this is an introductory part about copy constructor. It is type of constructor and it gets called when you are actually passing object to function, returning object from function, assigning one object to another object, right? So this is about copy constructor. Now there are two actually style or types, you can say, for this copy constructor. One is called shallow copy and another one is called deep copy, right? Now what is actually shallow copy is simply, in this case, in shallow copy, whatever data which is there, here inside your screen, which is visible to you, there are total two objects. One object is called P, another object is called Q, and when you are actually having a value for P which is 100, when you assign to Q, then what should Q hold is it only copies the address without data, right? And it creates only link in case of shallow copy. Now just see this about shallow copy. When we assign one object to another, at that time copying, okay, I'll show you. What is the time? Okay. Just hold on for a while. Okay, so we are going to check here a demo about no copy constructor. Now, what is first there is shallow copy is when we assign one object to another, at that time copying all the content from source object to destination object as it is, such copy is referred as shallow copy. So where it is, see, check here inside this, we have this one copy C1, copy C as an object, and we're going to set a value. Now, what is there in C? C is object which holds only two values, that is A and B, and those values are set by set function, and just we are going to display those using display function. Now, this object C is going to set and then display. Now, this is another object called C1. We are creating C1 and directly assign already created object, that is C, to C1, right? So this is the case where copy constructor gets called, right? When we create a new object and we assign already created object with assignment object to newly created object, then copy constructor gets called. So here we are not written any type of constructor, right? So if we are not providing any type of constructor, still it is using value of C1 even. Oh, sorry, just hold on. Okay, so even though we don't assign, we just assign the object to this, whatever value inside this, that is 3 and 4, we are calling this display function on C1, which is this, but we are not going to set value for this C1. Still, C1 holds the value of A and B, which is 3 and 4. So, see here in result, in result you'll get two things here. A has 3 and B has 4, and after C1 calls you'll get again 3 and 4. So this is C1's display and this is C's display, right? So copy constructor is called in this case, even though we are not providing copy constructor here. Compiler will by default provide you a copy constructor, and this is the case where copy constructor is called, and this is the case where it is called as shallow copy, or it is referred as shallow copy, that it actually we don't provide a copy constructor, but just by assigning one object or already created object to newly created object, copy constructor get implicit call, and this is called a copy constructor, or a shallow copy, or even you can say that exact data it will create or reference it will create. So what all problems are there in copy constructor is, see, if it is not provided, it is given by compiler as well, and compiler by default create a shallow copy. But shallow copy can create problem like dangling pointer. Now we'll move to this slide. If keep in mind that this is a pointer which points to 100, and this is the Q pointer which points to again 100. What actually dangling pointer is, if P trying to free up the memory 100, and then this is actually this pointer is deleted, then this P is deleted and this memory is freed. At that time Q is actually pointing out to the memory location which is stored 100, which actually holds the value 100, but this 100 or this memory is deleted by pointer P. At that time this Q is actually points to a memory which is not an use, or you can say which is freed up. In that case Q is referred as dangling pointer, wherein it actually has a pointer value but it doesn't point any memory location, rather where it is point which is not present inside memory, or data is not present inside memory, you can say, and this is simply called a dangling pointer. So this is a problem arises with shallow copy, but it is provided by default in case of compiler. Compiler actually creates a by default copy. Now what is deep copy is another type, when we have a class with data member. Now we have two things which are there, that is A and B, right? If we have A and B, such kind of things are there, in that case it will directly provide a copy constructor which performs shallow copy. But if we have a pointer type data member, or will have a user defined destructor over inside that class, and in that case either we have user defined destructor, or if we have pointer type variable, in that case when we assign one object to another object, instead of copying the base address, it actually copies, it allocates a new memory for each and every object and then copy content, right? That means in previous slide, here actually pointer is created and which points to this 100. In deep copy, a pointer is created with a different memory location. In that case, the value of pointer as well as for data we have a different memory locations, right? So in deep copy, we actually have a different memory location which is pointed by another pointer, right? So in that case, it will actually create a new memory location which will point to, which actually copies all the data from already created object to newly created object inside that memory, right? So in deep copy, we actually copy the contents from the memory of source object to new already created object to the memory of newly created object, right? So entire memory actually is duplicated in this case, right? So if we have, copy constructor, or in case of deep copy, we need to provide a copy constructor explicitly. That means we need to write copy constructor for the class, right, which will actually allocate a memory, right? So we'll check with example. ह्याच्यात काही शंका आहे का? डीप कॉपी, शॅलो कॉपी. Now this is the case where we have a pointer variable. So what actually does is, pointer variable, that means it actually has a value as well as address. So we need to check that. So if this is the case, we need to provide a copy constructor which actually provides a exact copy, wherein we need to pass the constructor as a reference to this constructor, right? So rather we need to pass as a reference, wherein D is reference of this class copy demo, and copy demo is a copy constructor, wherein whatever data is there we need to pass as to this value. So D of A, rather D dot A is value from this, and A is value of this class, right? So we are going to assign whatever we are here with this or already created object, we create a reference and we are going to pass to newly created object. Now here in this we actually create a memory, and then we pass value. This star p is value at address p and value at address d dot p. So we are actually copying those values. So if we are having this type of constructor which holds the parameter, then it's our duty to pass or to write a constructor with default, or rather a default parameter, right? So we are just having initialize a p over there, right? So it's our duty to write. So in deep copy we need to write a copy constructor which actually used to exact copy, which will create exact copy of this. See, I think it's okay. So it's working. So in case of deep copy, we need to write a copy constructor, right? And I need to, in shallow copy, exact replicas are there. So what is problem here is, if we have pointer and all, the data which is copied only has an address and not the case wherein, if which is, just hold on, which is there, it actually points to this thing, right? So this kind of thing is called, deep copy, wherein we need to provide a copy constructor, just like this, right? Wherein exact replica will create by all the data members which are present, will assign those data members with this, right? With already created object, one newly created object. Clear? Okay. Clear? समजलं का रे याच्यात काही प्रॉब्लेम? Okay. So we'll stop here. So this is about shallow copy, deep copy. थोडंसं डिफिकल्ट आहे अंडरस्टँड करायला. तुम्ही मला, जर तुम्हाला आत्ता नसेल समजलं तर प्रॅक्टिकल सेशन्समध्ये विचारा, मी परत समजावून सांगेन तुम्हाला ह्या गोष्टी, राईट? ओके, विल स्टॉप हिअर. नेक्स्ट लेक्चर आहे का कुणाचं अजून? नेक्स्ट लेक्चर आहे का? ओके, थँक्यू. ओके, ज्यांना प्रॉब्लेम आहे त्यांनी थांबा, बाकीचे मीटिंग लेफ्ट करायला हरकत नाही.